I'm all right. How about yourself?
Good, good.
All right, we're live on Facebook.
Okay, just waiting.
Do your thing.
Just waiting for our fellow kings and queens to jump on. I can see the tag.
Oh man.
Posted. Just says plans to go live at the moment.
On my page?
We're
live.
Okay. Well, I'm sure it'll turn up. I saw another tag. No worries.
Hold on. Let me
okay. I don't think I've been tagged the second time around, but
I didn't tag you. I didn't tag neither one of us. I just posted it.
Okay.
But you're live though. I'm looking at you.
Okay. Cool. For some reason, I cannot get Cisco's Unleash the Dragon out of my head today. It just, I don't know where I'm at.
Well, I'm going to let you do the analysis and I'll come back behind you with the chart. So the floor is all yours.
Okay, cool. Good morning. Good morning. I'm not sure who's, I'm seeing, I need to see where, well, I'm waiting for the tag so I can say good morning to our people. Good morning, guys. Hope you had a fabulous weekend. Hope Monday morning is treating you kindly. And we're going to get started shortly. I'm just waiting to see if I can also see you guys on Facebook. It's not showing up yet, but it'll show up soon, hopefully. So I'm going to start off with Visa. Oh, my doorbell has just gone, but I can't. Literally bad timing. But you guys are more important. So okay, so with Visa, you'd think that with Visa and MasterCards and other centralized payment facilitators, you would think that they would be terrified of this space. You know, they're just going to twiddle their thumbs, or they're going to try and badmouth it. We did see some initial negative reaction from some companies, and we did see, in particular with Visa, shut down some partnerships that they had with crypto companies or projects that had a linked a prepaid Visa credit card, a prepaid debit card that would allow you to pay for your goods and services using the Visa. So I know they had frozen that previously. There were cases with that. However, the CEO in particular has come out to say that cryptos are no threat to Visa. In fact, at least in the short to medium term, they don't see it as a threat. However, they even said that when the industry has matured enough, that they themselves are looking to monetize and looking to grab the opportunity and come into the space in some way, shape, or form. So I know with MasterCard, they had stated that they've got that they had their own blockchain projects. They filed some interesting patents on that. And so in this environment, even though where we are in the market, we're actually seeing a lot of these payment facilitators, especially big names like Visa, MasterCard, working behind the scenes, trying to figure out strategy, how they're going to how they're going to not only adapt and survive, but how can they take a proactive approach? How can they make the most of this new world? Because they've seen with other industries, with other examples, they certainly do not want to be the dinosaur, you know, they do not want to be extinct. They certainly want to find a way to make the most of it. And they know that it'll take time. People are not going to jump on cryptos or blockchain straight away. It will take time for we have more and more real world use cases. It will take time for more adoption in this space. So before you cut up your Visa or MasterCard, credit card or debit cards into two and get all excited, there's still a long way to go where full adoption is concerned. If we're going to get to that stage, there's certainly going to have to, it will take a lot of education, a lot of awareness about this space, and for utility, for the time, the transaction times, for the cost, the fees that we incur every time we buy or sell, the tax issue as well with that. With every transaction is a taxable event. So all these things we have to have solutions for if there's going to be real world global major adoption to the scale where it would threaten Visa and MasterCard survival. So that's why they're not even waiting to find out what their fate is. They want to be the masters of their fate. And in particular, where global, any innovation, any disruption to traditional industries with payment facilitators are concerned, they rather get in early and they see that the way things are moving and where the demand is at the moment. So the fact that there are people open to the idea of having an A to B transaction, no middleman, no central authority, that is something where Visa feels, okay, we understand that concept and we can see how it's attractive, and how it's not just theory anymore, it's real life where we're seeing how it works, how it's being successful. Any country, any city, wherever we are, regardless of what time, even if there's bottlenecks at some point, especially with Bitcoin transactions, people are still using cryptocurrencies to send money across any type of value that we can define ourselves, saving money and time, cutting out the fees, because essentially if there's a way to incentivize, and if there's a way to have people switch from one thing to another, that is something to watch out for. So Visa is fully aware that they've been doing the research since it first came out. And they feel that they're going to be one of the major companies. You can't get bigger than Visa at this point. It is a mass. I mean, I don't need to go into their history. We could have another talk another time about Visa and MasterCard, but certainly it is a new world, and they're not afraid of that. They're taking proactive approach, which is good. And it'd be interesting to see how they're going to put their argument across to their existing and potential customers, and whether they're gonna acquire crypto projects or whether they're going to develop their very own. Will we have a crypto version of Visa? So it'd be interesting to see how they play this, but they're keeping the relatively the cards close to themselves, which is to be expected. But they have said that they're ready to turn to crypto orientated systems if or when the crypto space is mature enough. That's a really key thing, because they still feel that certain things need to be ironed out before they even attempt to come into the space and put their own stamp on it. And so, of course, they have a huge brand awareness. I mean, I'm sure a lot of us in our pockets will either have a Visa or MasterCard or American Express or some sort of traditional credit or debit card with a well-known payment facilitator, international recognized. So that's what I love about this space, is because it really does shake industries. They really get them to make them feel like they're not safe anymore. That's the key thing. They're no longer maybe they've never been complacent, because they do have their own competitors, to worry about, to always have something or someone or a group really pushing them to try and not just sit on their laurels. But with this space, I mean, if there's anything that we're going to be motivated by, the consumers, it would definitely be a reduction in price, reduction in costs, especially where remittance fees, transaction fees are concerned. If you and me can save money on our credit card bills, if we can totally avoid paying interest altogether and jump to crypto, or have some sort of service where we can utilize the best of both worlds until we get to a stage where crypto is mature enough, anything that will save you on your interest, your monthly interest, or any other extra fees that you have to pay, anything that could improve our credit scores, anything that can just make our lives easier and give us value for money, value for time, certainly we'd be open to ears, right? That's partly one of the reasons why we're in this space. So this is very, very interesting, and I do see this is something of a trend as well. Not just the payment industries, but all industries, they're starting to realize they can't just sit on their, you know what, they can't just sit on it and just be like, okay, we're just gonna wait to see it unfold. No, they're already starting to do their research, their R&D. Perhaps part of their budget has now been allocated to seeing if blockchain, cryptos is the real thing, and where they can position themselves, where do they fit in, and what's in it for them. Essentially, that's really the key driver here, the bottom line. Are there savings, cost savings to be made? Is there more customer acquisitions to be had? Anything that can give them an edge in this traditional space, with the status quo or beyond, to always, I'm sure when they have their brainstorming sessions, not just in Visa, but with many different companies, modern companies of this age, they always have a certain allocated manpower to always think of the future and where the space may evolve, how it may evolve, and where it may go. Because if you're not trying to be 10, 20, 30 steps, if you're not even putting that effort to be steps ahead of your, not only your competitor, but you want to be the best version of yourself. You want to be the best company you can be. So successful companies like Apple, like Amazon, they don't just sit on their laurels. They've been innovating. They've been coming into the space and not just sitting there, but always thinking of new things, because they know nothing is forever. And with that attitude, also with the rewarding creativity and innovation, and not being afraid of failure, not being afraid of change, which goes against the human, the normal human condition, because we're creatures of comfort. We like stability. Stability. So whether instability in the markets, instability in our homes, instability anywhere scares us to death. So this is why you gotta stay innovating in a way that gives you security, right? That gives you peace of mind, because you're doing everything you can to be on top of your game. So that's why with Visa, they just cannot afford to stay still and just sit there. So even with other companies as well. So this doesn't surprise me. I think it's a welcome move. And with them being a centralized organization, a Bitcoin and blockchain and cryptocurrencies that have a decentralized ethos and system and culture, it is something that definitely works against them. But this is why they're not just going to accept themselves as they are. They're always going to find ways that they can capitalize on any new industry, any new movements, space, anything that would disrupt not only their industry, their bottom line, the momentum, the shift, the wave, whatever you call it. they're trying to be ahead of the curve, not reacting to it. They want to be proactive. So this is, I see this as a good thing. It'd be interesting to see if they'd have like a decentralized version, which would go. Then you'd be asking yourself, then what's the need for Visa? Who would still give them business? And you'd be surprised. Right now, there's still a major market that would still do business with Visa, but they know 10, 20, 30 years ahead. And in this space, in crypto, like a week feels like a year, right? Like so many things happen so quickly. Maybe a year's exaggeration. It feels like several months, but you know what I mean? The time is literally like a lot happens compared to what happens in the traditional space, you know? So, so this is why I think it's a good news for Visa and for those that are looking to make any sort of transition from using fiat, using credit cards, debit cards, and traditional systems to making a transition to having cryptos as part of a way to pay for goods and services, to have utility. This is good because the brand awareness, the where we are at the moment, I think it's important, and also it'd be interesting to see how they educate, how they make their customers aware, and how they in their marketing, how they speak to potential customers. So this will all play out, but I think the fact that they're making this move now is quite significant. And they're saying this, but they're also doing it with their connect with the B2B decentralized blockchain project that they have, which I'll speak upon in a moment. So here's the thing with cryptos. They do see it more like a commodity like asset rather than a functional payment instrument. And I do agree to some respect, because you still have to deal with the volatility issue. You still have to deal with the transaction time, the scalability issues. So there's still some kinks to iron out. That's still what the industry is working on. This is why this is important. They said if it goes in that direction, they said we will move in that direction. So again, they're not going to be a dinosaur. There's no way they're going to let themselves die out. They will adapt. They will evolve. They will move on with society, with industries, and so on. And here's the key thing. They said, we do want to be in the middle of every payment flow in the world, regardless of how it happens or what the currency is behind it. So if we have to go there, they said this themselves, if we have to go there, we will go there. But they just feel right now that cryptos is more of a commodity than a payment vehicle. So they're kind of like, they're chill. They've got nothing to worry about right now. So they're getting ready. They're simply preparing the world for what's about to happen. That's why you have, when we've been talking about stable coins for a while, volatility has been an issue, and it can continue to be an issue. It is inconvenient. You buy something at one price, and by the time it goes through, it becomes another price. So that is a bit annoying. Trying to determine what the real cost will be for you. But this is why we have some coins, they've been addressing this problem by pegging themselves to fiat currencies like the US dollar, like euros, like the pound. And that's even, this is why we've been getting, a part of the reason why we've been getting Gemini creating their stable coin. Even Goldman Sachs recently developed a so-called stable coin called USD coin, USDC, so through Circle. So this is something we're going to see evolve. We're going to see them coming out with different strategies to adapt to this space and get the most of this space. That right now is just that they call it speculative commodities. And it's also in the interest to say that as well. They don't want to, be seen to hype up or support cryptos. They still need to do, obviously, their business. They still need to have to maintain their brand and their status and so on. They don't feel threatened. That's probably not the right word to describe where they are right now, but they certainly acknowledge what's been happening and how society, how us, me, you, as investors, as normal everyday people, how we react to this space, and how there has been a steady increase in interest, and especially in the like to get educated about this space is really key to help drive adoption, as well as having real value, real world use cases say, hey, this is being tested in real life, this works, we're going to do this, this saves us time, saves us money, brings us together. So these are all the advantages, benefits. These are the disadvantages. Advantages outweigh the disadvantages. We're going to go with this. We'll see how we go. And so this is why every industry, every person you may speak to in this space or outside a normal world, even you may still come across people that absolutely have no idea what Bitcoin and cryptos are, and you get to be the first one that tells them about it. And in that case, you become like an indirect billboard for blockchain and cryptocurrencies. They get to experience that from you, from your experiences, your knowledge and expertise and opinion and so on. So it's interesting how this is all, everything is interconnected, everything's related, and there's no way they're just going to sit there and take it and just be everyone's not suddenly going to leave Visa behind or MasterCard and jump into cryptos. There really has to be a real convincing case to say, hey, this is going to make our lives easier, better, faster, that the cost will be cheaper, and so on. So and that's how you move people. You really do have to incentivize certain behaviors to get the outcome you're looking for. And I think overall, businesses looking to be open to blockchain and cryptos is a good thing. They do add legitimacy. They do add, it does give stability into the market and confidence. But I also, on the other hand, I also do wonder what their real motive would be. Remember, they're not going to necessarily say everything that they're planning to do or what they really think. And they're not going to, if they're scared or threatened or they feel what's the word, they feel like they're going to get pushed out, they're not really going to tell you the extent or the depth of the problem or issue or crisis or catastrophe, however way you see it.
Hey, Azzy?
Yes.
There's been a move in price. I think it's important. Do you mind if I show them the charts real quick, and then I'll let you get back?
Yeah, sure. Yep, no problem. Go ahead.
Appreciate it. Give me just 1 second. I hate to interrupt you, but
charts. No, I've got time. So you do.
They mentioned
you do the charts. Let's see what's going on. Show us.
On CCNs, I guess it'd be a good time to cover it real quick.
Sure. While you do that, what do you think of the Visa news so far?
Dope. I love it.
Cool. You got a Visa card, right? Or MasterCard?
I have a Visa, I think.
Mm-hmm.
I think I have a Visa. Yeah, I should have a Visa.
Cool.
how do I share this? Here it is.
Let's see what's going down.
All right, so this is Bitcoin, guys, on the daily chart. I'm looking at Coinbase, the daily chart on Coinbase for you. And this is where we are, guys. There was a headline that just came out about Bitcoin dropping to below $6,200 or something like that on Coinbase. Well, it's like 6,211 or something. That was on Bitfinex. But on Coinbase, it hit 6,211. Yeah, so it dropped down to 6,211. So I just want to kind of fill people in on where we are in the grand scheme of things. So we're still in this this descending triangle. So basically what that means is where we are forming lower lows still. on the descending triangle, but at the same time, forming lower highs, I'm sorry. But at the same time, we're forming relative to the same the same level lows. So that's where we are on Bitcoin. So we're getting, the tops are getting lower, the bottoms are staying about the same. So where we are right here, we're getting really close to the apex. And that's why I thought it was important to share with you guys. We're getting very close within this apex. This apex is basically the pressure point. So now the probabilities still say that when the breakdown occurs, it's going to occur towards the downside. But we're getting really close, guys. It could happen within the next week, 2 weeks, I would say a month, no later. But we're getting very, very close. And there's only so much where this price can possibly range inside of here. You know, it could bounce around inside here as much as it wants. But when it breaks out in either direction, it's going to be a pretty big breakout. So I just want to make that clear to you guys. I know some of you guys might be getting alerts. I'm already getting messages and stuff like that. So this is the next development in Bitcoin. So if you guys also notice, I took out my Fibonacci extensions, and I took it from the 5,700 level to the $8,500 level. And we're right below the 0.786 fib. That's on the midterm fib. So if I was to extend that, I would have to look at the monthly chart. But just taking it from the swing low to the swing highs, from the 8,500 to the 5,700, we're right below the 0.786 fib, which is also a bearish fib level. So price can bounce around inside here, but I would just say pay very, very close attention to these next few weeks. It could be a week, it could be 2 weeks, it could be a month, as to where prices end up going. So, you know, with price getting this compressed, a lot of things can happen. You can see price break out towards the upside, give you a false break, something similar like how it happened here on this day, and then ultimately break back down towards the downside. So I would say just pay really close attention. I mean, price hasn't really been going anywhere for the last couple of months, but that's going to come to an end real soon as we see price get closer towards the apex. So I know a lot of people watching like Ripple. So I'm just going to pull up Ripple real quick. They all are kind of following the same course right now. XRP-USD on so you can see on Ripple, very similar. Let me pull up the, actually pull it up on Bitfinex. So on Ripple, very similar. We spoke about this pattern on Ripple already, where we have this main uptrend right here, this main uptrend channel on Ripple that is still valid. And then we see Ripple come back down here, and then it formed like a little pattern right here where it broke down. So Ripple is showing some bearish signs as well. So it's just something to pay attention to. I mean, we have some support on Ripple around the 35 cents range again, 35, 37 cents range. But it's just something to pay attention to. Is that we're starting to see Bitcoin develop, and Bitcoin is obviously it's the mother of the ocean, if that's how you want to look at it. So we're starting to see some things develop. Let me erase this right here. In price. And I thought it was important to mention just because I got this notification that popped up. So so we're starting to see some things develop slowly. Things are developing slowly, but they're getting there. Let's take a look at Monero. I know a lot of people are big on Monero. So we're starting to see Monero make some moves too. Let me see. So Monero has some support right over here. This is where some pretty strong support is for Monero. Then we had a really big move, which was kind of crazy on Monero. We had a really big breakdown on Monero right here. The price broke down, it spiked back up, and now price is back in this little channel right here, which ultimately broke down as well. So Monero's making some moves. So we could, you know, on some of these alts, it wouldn't be impossible for these alts to see some of those yearly lows again. Monero coming back down to $83, but ultimately making a bigger move if Bitcoin decides to make a bigger move down. So on the weekly chart, this thing definitely looks really bearish on the weekly chart as far as Monero's concerned. Had a good push up, a reversal candle, now it's coming back down. So these are just things I want you guys to pay attention to. I think Litecoin was looking really bearish. I don't know if you guys are into Litecoin. Yeah, Litecoin was. So Litecoin has this level of support right here, which we've been paying attention to right here, as far as that level of support, where we broke out, kind of retested, and then made our way back up. So Litecoin's right back at that level of support, which I think is important to pay attention to. If we break below $50, well, Litecoin right now is at $49.60. Wow, that's cheaper than what I thought it was. I thought it was at least above 50. So Litecoin right now is at 49 bucks. So breaking below this zone right here, this $45 to $50 zone, that's not really great for Litecoin. Let me put some teeth on that. I'll say right in here, that level right there, that $40 to $50 zone. If Litecoin doesn't hold there, then we could see, you know, a much bigger drop back down to the $22 range. So it could lose half its value. So I just want you guys to pay attention to that. We're starting to see some things develop. It really all comes down to big Bitcoin. I mean, honestly, Bitcoin is going to give everything so much more clarity. Look at Bitcoin on the daily chart again. I mean, I don't see how we come back to this $5,800, $5,900 range and for it to hold again. I'll be really interested. I mean, I could see it bouncing maybe a couple more times inside here. So for it to go bullish from this point is a lot less likely than for it to go bearish. So it's just something to pay attention to. Bitcoin breaks below this 50, I would say below this 50, let's say, I'm gonna be straight up. I'll tell you exactly where I'm looking at. Let me erase this. Erase this. So if we was to get a weekly close, we go to the weekly chart. Let me clear off some of this junk though. So you got, so this little apex is what I have in the colored, in the shaded area. So if we was to break below on the weekly chart, let me show you how you guys look like on the weekly. So here's the weekly. So we close below this red line on the weekly chart, basically below this last swing low, which is at $5,900 or at $5,700. So I'm gonna give you guys exactly what I'm looking for. I would say in this area right here. So we break below this area and close on the weekly basis. So we break below this area right here and close on the weekly. Like we have a weekly close, this candle bar on the weekly time frame that's below $5,900 to $5,800. Then I could say confidently 4,000 is up next. Very confidently, in my view, I think that 4,000 would be up next if we get a weekly close. And keep in mind, this right here is a reversal candle. Like this right here is a reversal candle, and the price did reverse. It doesn't mean it has to continue down, but if it breaks that structure and it continues down, then below this red zone, we actually form a low, we close below the lowest fractal level, which is this candle bar right here at 57.77. Then, and by the way, this is Coinbase. Those numbers are going to be slightly different depending on the exchange you're looking at. Then, yeah, I would say confidently we're going to 4,100, and to look for a good pullback retracement, and you know, you could, that's your short play for shorting it. But yeah, that's what I'm looking at, guys. This right here is the danger zone. Just depending how you consider price action. We close below 57.77 on the weekly time frame. We are I think we're long-term bearish. If we close above here, this is the buy zone. This is the happy zone, right? Put this is the happy zone. So if we close above 71.32 on the weekly time frame, $7,200, then I would say we're neutral bullish. If we close above this $7,500 range on the weekly, that means we get a candle bar above the weekly, on the weekly above $7,500, then we're bullish. So that's how, I mean, at least 72. I mean, you got to give me at least 7,200 for me to even give us a chance. So those are the zones you're looking at, and you're going to get it really fast. You got to keep in mind, guys, these two zones are very close together. I mean, we're looking at a difference of 10%, about $1,000 from 6,000. Yeah, about $1,000, 10%. So, I mean, these zones are something has to give, something has to happen, something has to shake. We can't be here forever. Something has to happen. And I think that happening is going to favor towards the downside as of right now, as far as what price is saying. So, yeah, if this thing skyrockets. So again, this is what I would do, just how I would particularly play it. If I saw this thing break out towards the upside, like here, boom, I'll wait for a pullback to either 6,800 or 6,300. If it broke up to 7,200 and close, I'll wait for a pullback to maybe $6,800 range or even the $6,300 range. That'll be my play. And then I will go long. And so what I mean by that is I would scale into the buys here. So I'll be buying all in here. You know, basically everywhere I can get my hands on, I'll be buying all in there. Now, if this thing breaks down towards the downside, let's say we crack this floor and boom, this happens right here. Then I'll wait for the same thing, a pullback. Wherever that pullback occurs, maybe it goes back up to 57.77. Maybe it goes back up to 6,300. Wherever that pullback occurs, it doesn't really all that matter to me. But I'll be looking for short opportunities. I'll be looking to sell all in these levels, how I could sell it, in anticipation that we're going to have a follow-through move down here to the $4,100 range. So that's how I'm looking at it, guys. If we break up, I'm going to buy in all the way down and go up. If we break down, I'm gonna sell down all the way up, anticipate just follow-through move. But I think we're almost there. You know, I know regardless if you think Bitcoin or crypto is bearish or bullish, a lot of us are just wanting something to happen. So I think in that sense, we're going to get that. I think if you're just wanting something to happen and get some clear direction of course what's going to happen in the future, I think we're going to get that really, really soon. And honestly, when you're looking at on the weekly chart, it really feels like it may not even be a month. It feels like it's going to be maybe the next week or 2 weeks. But I can see it going up to a month, just depending on how price paints, maybe even longer. But I would say confidently within 1 to 6 weeks at the latest. And that's really stretching it. That's like really, really stretching it. 1 to 6 weeks at the latest, I'd say something needs to happen. So before the end of this year, I think we're definitely going to have a big move in crypto. So hold on to your seatbelts and pay attention. That's all I got, Crypto Azzy. It's all yours now. I think you're on mute.
Yep, I see that. Well, that sounds good. We need something to happen. We've been in this range for ages. So yeah, looking forward to that. Thanks, Aking Risen. So in regards to Visa, I did mention that they were involved and they're looking to roll out their own distributed ledger-based B2B. It's called Connect. And this will be launched in the first quarter of 2019. And it will provide financial institutions with a secure, fast, straightforward a way to be able to process cross-border payments. And this is B2B. It's not including normal retail consumers. So as I mentioned, with Visa looking to take advantage of the blockchain technology and cryptos at some point, if they feel it's matured enough, this is something that they're looking to develop and have a way to garner percentage of that market to help break down the geographic barriers, looking to fix any broken processes. So this is something, again, they're looking to tap into. And here's another what I found interesting about this part was they're looking to have Connect, it's called Connect, to facilitate payments not just for financial institutions, but also for different industries, including supply chain, trade, institutional banking and others as well. And supply chain, as we keep talking and mentioning again and again, they're having quite a significant success in this space, and the savings, the cost savings alone make it worth it. And then for them to transition from pen and paper or other archaic methods, outdated methods that they're using, to blockchain, where it literally cuts down the process from a matter of a week to seconds without exaggeration, that is something that certainly Visa will be looking to take advantage of, because supply chains will need a way to send payments across the world to their suppliers, third-party suppliers, or other people involved in the supply chain, or it could be whoever that they have, creditors and so on, other stakeholders. So this is something which Visa is fully aware, and they are creating this their own version to be able to have to facilitate those payments and make inroads into this space that way as well. So in particular, how that would work is with B2B Connect, it does have a digital identify feature. It allows business organizations to tokenize their sensitive data. We're talking about account numbers, banking details, give them a unique identifier that they can obviously use to facilitate transactions on the Connect platform. And the reason for this is not only the security and safety aspect of it, but the compliance aspect as well. And it will have a revolutionary effect on the business-to-business cross-border payments and the governance of that. So it's like an all-in-one, one-stop shop solution that will help them make fast, secure transactions, and it saves them money. And it's business to business, so they have different concerns, different needs than retail consumers. So it does reduce the opportunity for fraud, which does cost traditional businesses a significant amount, and also, and I'm talking about their identity aspect and other aspect affecting their businesses, but it does definitely mitigate and help to counteract some of the issues that they've been having with that. And there are fraud that does affect with checks, with wire transfers and so on. There might be delays, there might be errors. So these are all things that Connect, Visa's B2B Connect is looking to solve and help them remain compliant as well, and have a regulated financial ecosystem there. So when businesses are audited, they can always say, hey, we are, we're sending these payments via Connect. It's on the blockchain. It can be verified. It can't be changed. Remember, it's immutable, one of the aspects of that. So this is a win-win situation for businesses and for Visa. And this is one way that they're taking advantage of this brand new technology. And they're not doing it alone. They are partnering up, as is the trend with most of these major companies. They do want to collaborate, especially if it's their first time, and it does save them money, and it does allow them to gain access to existing expertise and help to formulate a plan for their to formulate a strategy for them to be able to go in with this, reducing the risks that they face, and obviously expanding their opportunities and maximize any ways to monetize. So yeah, they're partnering up with several companies to expand the platform's functionality. A big one is with IBM, and they are integrating the B2B Connect with Hyperledger's Fabric open source platform, and also from the Linux Foundation, and they'll be using Visa's core asset to do that. So it'll definitely help, as I said, to facilitate, make the financial transactions better, and it will be permissioned in this case, and it will be scalable. And the fact that they're partnering with IBM, a major company, and remember, IBM have all these collaborations going on in the blockchain space, that is going to help. They are in alignment in terms of having both their companies' ecosystems, and the fact that they also have major clients, financial institution financial clients, and then other industries as well, and that will allow them to tap into potentially new business and expand their networks. And the thing with this as well, with IBM in particular, it's not a new partnership. Visa and IBM have been working together for more than 40 years, 40. So they already have that relationship, that trust, that track record. They know they can work with each other. They trust each other. So the fact that they're coming together to create, and also with IBM's existing expertise and knowledge that they've acquired in the blockchain space, they're going to help Visa to come up with something that would work. It's a win-win situation for both of them, but Visa will also use that to help them craft and navigate their way through this space. So again, it's a win-win situation. And security, trust, transparency, these are core fundamental aspects of the blockchain, and for them, that's what's also important for them. So it's not just with IBM as well that they're looking to expand with other businesses and financial institution there. Their links with them as well to promote and develop blockchain focused payments and other things as well that they have in the pipeline. So again, this is a good thing for them, and certainly does help to, in the bigger scheme of things, help to legitimize blockchain and cryptos as well. So that's Visa. Another thing I found interesting, and I don't know, in the UK and in Europe, there is a big major literally a major debate going on, and there's laws, there's bills being written at the moment that are going to get passed regarding and policies as well being tightened up in regards to plastic pollution, the kind of all types of plastic that you get in the ocean, that marine life, we're seeing these tragic images of turtles and whales and dolphins and so on. They literally think at some point it's food, or they ingest it thinking it's something else. Or they don't even realize it, but they're just ingesting it, and the plastic actually disintegrates into broken pieces, and they're finding that the dead birds and all sorts of marine life, when they wash up into the beaches, they actually dissect them and find in their stomach all of these little plastics coming from everywhere, obviously. And they're saying that if the scientists have also come out to say that if we don't have a major global policy approach, major change to the way things are getting done right now, and that's the only way things can happen, because we can all individually do our thing, but collectively we do need governments, we do need corporations, we do need all these major groups pumping out plastics into the ocean and also landfills. There has to be a change there. So blockchain, there has been some success with that already to incentivize people, but with the US in particular, you may have heard of SC Johnson. It's a major US manufacturer of household cleaning supplies. You may have heard of Glade, maybe use Glade, Ziploc, and Mr. Muscle. So they did some research, SC Johnson, that revealed scientific data on plastic pollution of the ocean, saying 5 Asian countries in particular, China, China, Indonesia, the Philippines, Vietnam, and Thailand, they account for more than 55% of plastic waste leaking into the ocean. And that's a big deal. 5 of these countries, responsible for more than half of the plastic going into the ocean. So they decided to come together to collaborate with an environmental organization called Plastic Bank, and they will offer several plastic recycling centers in Indonesia to start with, and then they're going to roll them out to other countries. And what's so special is that they're going to be offering the locals tokens for waste collection tokens. So how that would work, basically, in fact, let me back up a bit. They're going to, I think this was at some point in Indonesia, actually. So I think it's already started. I think it was yesterday or the day before, but they've got the first one opened already, and that's going well. Then the others will be scheduled to be operational by May next year. So the way it works is that they're going to get local collectors. They can come in and exchange their plastic waste for digital tokens, and then they can actually use those tokens to purchase goods and services via a decentralized system. So again, this idea of incentivizing good behavior via the use of tokens and putting that on the blockchain, it is going to be one of those things that we see will motivate people to help, whether it was to clean up the environment or to reduce poverty or to help bring more justice. It could be any number of things, but if we can, that's what I think will be very critical, because we are running up against time. So any system, any way that we can help incentivize good behavior and get rewarded and use that to purchase goods and services that would be of value to us is certainly going to be helpful. And where climate change is concerned, where plastic pollution is concerned, and also, by the way, it does affect us. Whoever consumes fish, seafood, imagine, I don't want to put you off your lunch. I know you guys have got lunch coming up soon, but imagine all the seafood that you consume, a percentage of it, like it may be exposed to plastic. The type of fish you buy, I'm not sure. It would be, there's certain metals or certain chemicals that would be found naturally in the fish, but now they're seeing that plastic is also being ingested, whether animals see it as food or not. I mean, the sea creatures, and it's interesting because then that will have a impact on human health. Either way, imagine if the plastic that they ingest somehow in their bodies, it reacts in a certain way, and then we're ingesting. So does that mean, that we're ingesting plastic? We don't know how far this would, the implications would be, the effects would be on long-term human health. So it's like almost like karma, almost like, I hate to say it, but it's almost like because of our destructive behaviors, this is coming round to us. We're paying the cost for our endless need for plastic, for endless need for things that we may not really need. We have to find renewable energy. We have to find renewable ways, sustainable ways to be able to do what we love, do what we need to have, and so on. So these are one of the things I see. This is definitely good to see American, at least one American company, but I'm sure there's others as well, currently looking for ways they can incentivize and use the blockchain to help reduce the negative impacts on the world's environment, because we only have this one world, and we have to think about not just for us but our future generations. It goes without saying, doesn't it, that we have to find and be open to different ways to be able to connect the problems, the chronic problems we have on an individual, on a local, collective, national, state level, worldwide, you name it. We have to think critically, strategically, and we have to think in a way that would allow us to incentivize human behavior, motivate us to do the right things. I mean, we want to do the right things, the majority of us do, but we just need to, some of us need to be incentivized to give us that extra motivation, that extra push. And then you can use those tokens to help you save money or time on goods and services. That will definitely help. And it's starting with Indonesia, starting with China and the other 3 countries, because they account for over 50%, 55% of the waste, plastic waste going into the oceans. But we also need to do our part. We're not exempt at all. So I definitely see this as a call to arm to do better. And I do recycle already. I do separate my plastics, and I even go as far as to make sure that all the waste food and liquid is actually removed. I actually wash it out and then separate. Because I know I've done the research, and I know how important recycling is, and in terms of contamination and stuff, and I know all of that information. So I do that. Other may not do it, not judging anyone, but that's something that's really important. We must play our part to help with the reducing the negative impact. So I think it's not just Asian countries. In fact, I see this being expanded to other countries. In fact, that's what they're going to do. I think this is part of a major trend that we're seeing with charity, with non-for-profit organizations using the blockchain to help to have, it's not just for the security aspect, but also for sustainability, also for finding ways to reduce costs and tackle this on a global level. And because blockchain is global technology, this is something that is beautiful in terms of how we can come together worldwide, wherever we are, and really work on this, because that is the only way we will make truly lasting change, truly massive impact, and that's the only way forward that we can see how we're going to be able to survive climate change and be able to have like a shift in culture. We must go back to the environment, must go back to what is good for us, and you know, we have to treat nature better, the earth better, each other better. So this is all, I see this as part of a large grand cycle, and this is definitely playing out with the trends we see with charities and non-for-profit organization, NGOs and so on, using the blockchain. In fact, I did mention before, the United Nations, they did create a special panel on digital cooperation, and they explicitly said that they would be using the blockchain they have that on the agenda, and they're going to be looking to use that. Not only, it's not just for reduction of waste and so on, this will actually help to reduce poverty as well, because if you're you're getting rewarded through the incentivization of these behaviors, you're gonna have that's gonna have a ripple effect on other industries, other goods providers, manufacturers, to then do the right thing, and it will be like this domino effect. They will then create the products and services that will then create, you know, the demand is affecting what's being put out by these industries. So it's a instead of it being a negative vicious cycle, we can flip that on its head and incentivize in a major way, impacting individuals, industries, governments, communities. Every stakeholder is involved some way, shape or form to take responsibility and have accountability and transparency in the mix. So I definitely approve, not only approve of this, I highly, this is the one thing I'm going to recommend, is find ways to be able to help the environment on any level, not just the blockchain or cryptos or supporting projects that help sustainability, and have a way to verify and make sure that they're using whether it's renewable energy, if it's having zero carbon output, they have zero carbon footprint and so on. There'll be ways to verify that and to help support them. So again, my opinion, but this is definitely something I'm doing already, but I definitely love to hear developments like this, because it does affect us all regardless of where we are. So anything that does help reduce poverty, it does help take out all of the some not all of it yet, but we're working towards removing a significant amount from the oceans, also with carbon, to look at new technologies to capture some of that existing carbon and prevent new ones from being formed. So all of this, and also within blockchain aspect, within crypto aspect, seeing that through that prism, this is why I feel very strongly about if we can use this in, it could be any shape, way or form, but if we are tokenizing certain behaviors, we're tokenizing certain things, and it's certain, if it helps to not only better our lives but each other and also for future generations, why not? This, it has to, if there's going to be a solution, it may as well be this, because it's on a global aspect and everything is there's transparency, there's accountability, and we can really come together and use all of that collective energy to do real lasting impact, lasting change on all areas, everything that governs all aspects of our lives, because one way, shape or form, we are going to be affected by what, there's no such thing as having, saying that's their problem, that's a European problem, that's an Asian problem, that's an American problem. That type of thinking is not going to bring the type of change that we desperately need. So we definitely, especially if we're forward thinkers and we do care about the future, and we do care about what happens to the next generation and the legacy that we leave, you can't be just thinking of you can think whatever you want, but I'm saying it doesn't make sense to just then think of yourself and your children, but then your children or your grandchildren and so on are going to be affected by all of the devastating impacts that happen on a global level one way, because we don't know where anyone will be at what time and what they'll be doing. So this really does benefit to help us think to think creatively. Where can we go? How can we make things better for ourselves and each other? And so it does lend to the blockchain aspect of it. Using a decentralized system, you can purchase food or goods, and in particular with this, I know with the UN in particular, they were using, there was a project that included, there was a women's project actually, where they, in order to get their salaries, they had to use their irises, the iris scan, an eye scan, instead of to purchase goods or services, instead of cash or cards. They actually used their eyes to verify that, and all the information was on a decentralized system. So again, anything that reduces fraud, anything that reduces poverty, and helps the environment, helps people in dire situations, that's always a great thing to have. So that is it for now. Aking, what do you think so far?
Awesome information, like always.
Mm-hmm. So I mean, how do you feel about it in terms of like, I mean, that's happening in Asia, but how do you feel in America in particular? Like, even in your life or in your family's life, is recycling a big part? Well, I shouldn't say a big part, but does it play a part in your life? Do you have conversations about that? And if not, is that something that you would start? And especially if you can have a mechanism where, I'm not judging anyone, but some of us may be lazy, or some of us may need a push and have, tokens to help motivate us to recycle. What do you think of that? What are your thoughts?
I don't like waste, so I'm pretty big on recycling. I hate waste. So
Mm,
I'm really good with not wasting and reusing, repurposing wherever I can, and then
mm-hmm.
have value in it. Try to find someone that can find value in something. So I really try my very very best
Mm,
to recycle, reuse, repurpose.
mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
That's
that's
good. That's good. I'm glad to hear that. I mean, I think we did have a discussion about that before. I can't remember if it was to do with another another development I spoke on, but it was to do with either the I think it must have been the World Bank, but I remember we did have some conversation about how climate change was having an impact on the blockchain, but that was a while ago. I don't think you'd remember that, but I certainly do. So that's really really important that we take these opportunities, and I see this as a great development. And yeah, I'm seeing more of this. I hope to see more of this, but we're also seeing all of the major institutions. I mean, the UN, the World Bank. I think IMF as well came out. And so they are looking to, and also since we are being taxed by the government, and a percentage of the budget, the allocation, it does go towards humanitarian efforts and charities as well. So I feel two ways about it now, in the context of how can I say this, okay, I don't like the idea of charities in Africa, because although I do see it, some people may see it as as something where, well, without them right now, like everything would collapse, and some people may see it as a form of reparations, indirect reparations, and so on. But I feel like the whole concept of charity, it's more being used for marketing purposes. And I mean, in Africa in particular, there's been so many documentation, articles, reports, and so many evidence shown that Africa does not need charity. It doesn't need all of these Western charities to come in and try and save us, when we have literally the world's resources, like coltan used in mobile phones. That is super super rare, and that's, I think, found in Congo and found somewhere else. But that's why the Chinese coming into Africa, and other from Latin America as well, not just the traditional Western governments. But we don't need charity. That's fundamentally where I stand with that, because if we were just given the rules that have been set up, the perpetual debt that we're under, with the World Trade Organization as well, and they have some of the most oppressive rules that does nothing but to keep Africa in its place currently, to sustain the status quo. So with this in particular, I find that with the blockchain, with cryptos, it goes with Africa in particular. It's something that will definitely help, and with the budget coming from America, from Europe, in particular with the UK, a percentage assigned for charities and so on, I would prefer that to be used for something else. But if they have to continue using that, I hope that they use it that on platforms that is blockchain powered, so at least we can trace where their funds are going. We can trace certain aspects, we can see who's involved, and we can have a degree of transparency and accountability there. Otherwise, they're just talking about, being charitable, and we don't truly know where the money is going. We don't know where the resources going, because their systems are opaque at the moment. So that's something where I feel with blockchain technology in particular, this will help us give a lot more, I guess, a lot more insight into what's really going on. So if blockchain isn't involved, if transparency isn't involved, I do actually want them to get out of Africa and let us you know, find ways that will truly help us develop ourselves and really tackle the roots of the issues, and not just have handouts, you know. We are more than capable, the continent of Africa and beyond, the diaspora is more than capable of coming up with their solutions to their own problems. A lot of the problems going back centuries. I'm not going to go into it, but there's also the colonial hangover that we need to deal with. But this is where I stand with that. So with that, that's us done for today. What are your thoughts, Aking?
I'm with you. I know you're seeing my notifications go off and going crazy. So it's time for us to get into these markets.
Okay.
Yeah.
No problem. Well, thank you guys for joining us. I hope you have a wonderful, productive, amazing week. And if not, don't worry, it will run fast. What is it now? Monday, and it'll be Friday in no time. So hang tight. We look forward to seeing you guys on Friday's Q&A, and be blessed and stay shining. So yeah, that's it for me.